So Netflix's Squid Game season 2, I know it's not originally Netflix, it was a South Korean production, came out December 26th, and this article from Variety just got published yesterday, January 14th, 2025. Squid Game 2 becomes Netflix's third most watched season ever after Squid Game 1 and Wednesday. I'm only going to read the first three paragraphs because this is the only thing that concerns Squid Game. Green light. With 152.5 million total views, the second installment of Squid Game has become the third most watched TV season on Netflix, trailing behind only its own first season with 265 million total views, and Wednesday, 252 million total views. 4 days after its December 26th premiere, Squid Game Season 2 had amassed 68 million views in 4 days, becoming Netflix's biggest TV debut ever. A week later, it had picked up 126.2 million views across 11 days, more than any Netflix series has ever achieved in that amount of time. Suffice to say, the Korean language deathmatch drama spent another week atop the non-English TV top 10 list, with Season 1 resurfacing at number 3. Now, I know that you have read the title of this video, or the headline that I have personally generated, and when I make the claim that Squid Game Season 2's viewers plummet by 42.5%. So I did some quick math when I first read this article, and I took the 265 million total views that Season 1 had against the 152.5 million total views that the second season got. Now the one thing that this article is not doing is it's not discerning the 265 million total views for Season 1 if there was an increase that came out just before the release of Season 2. But when you do the math, 265 million people watched the first season of Squid Game, but only 152.5 watched the second season. Now, that doesn't mean that the show is bad. That doesn't mean that the show is dying. I'm not claiming that Squid Game is dying, but that is a pretty significant drop between seasons. Is you have 265 total views for Season 1 and then 152.5 total views for Season 2. It does come out to 42.5% drop off. Again, it's a little less than 42.5. It's like 42.45%. I just say 42.5 because I like round numbers. Now, what I want to do is I want to explore the reasons why the second season of Squid Game fell off from Season 1, because Season 1 is one that has the 265 million total views. That was the one that everybody went nuts over on social media back when it first came out. And I think that the 42.5% drop off really just comes down to two reasons. I personally haven't watched the show, so this is not a review of Squid Game, but just an outsider looking in. The first reason for the plummet, in my opinion, is the fact that it took 3 years to come out with a second season. The first season of Squid Game, at least in the United States, came out in 2021. Right, came out September 17th, 2021. Season 2 of Squid Game did not drop until December 26th, 2024. Over 3 years after the first season. And this is my biggest issue right here with streaming shows, is that unlike traditional broadcasts, where at least traditional broadcasts, there's a new season of a hit show every single year, with Squid Game, they waited 3 years to come out with the second season instead of capitalizing on the word of mouth, because I will go so far as to say that, yeah, Squid Game was the surprise hit of 2021. That's the one everyone in the US just went nuts for. I believe Squid Game was the most streamed show on Netflix. As I say that, I'm going to stop the recording and I am going to go ahead and I am going to verify that claim before I continue on any further. Okay, I did just confirm it that according to Newsweek, Squid Game was the #1 most streamed show on Netflix in 2021. And what they're saying here is, what else could be 2021's biggest show? The K-drama took the door opened by Parasite and kicked it down. The hype around the survival sci-fi show even did the impossible. It got English speakers to read subtitles, though we don't know how many people secretly watched the dub. That number will never be verified, but still. Season 1 of Squid Game was Netflix's most watched show. Why wasn't Netflix going back to the producer of the show and just saying, hey, you need to come out with season 2 by next year, 2022, at the extreme latest, because we have a real hit show on our hands? No, instead, they decide to take 3 years in between seasons 1 and 2 to release season 2. Now, season 3 is scheduled to come out in 2025, according to IMDb. But again, I think a big reason for that drop-off is just the fact that the wait between seasons 1 and 2 was just simply too long. You're not going to build a fan base if you're only going to come out with a new season every 2 to 3 years. There was a time when you could get away with that, like with Stranger Things. Some seasons took a couple years in between, but going into the 2020s, people were getting so sick and tired of all of these Netflix shows that were getting canceled left, right, up, down, and center, or it would take so long for a new season to come out that most people were like, yeah, you know what? I'm not even going to bother getting into any new Netflix shows. And then Squid Game came out, took the world by storm, and they said, you know what? We're not going to release season 2 until 3 years after the release of season 1. How many people who watched season 1 of Squid Game simply moved on by the time season 2 come out because the wait between seasons was so long? Now, the second reason I think the second reason for the plummet, it can really be attributed to just lightning in a bottle, and it goes back to that 3-year gap. I mean, let's call Squid Game for what it is. Squid Game season 1 really was lightning in a bottle. It shouldn't have worked, at least here in the United States, because the Newsweek article was right. Squid Game actually got American audiences to read subtitles. Now, again, some people may have watched the dub. Me personally, if I watched Squid Game, I would have watched the subtitled version. I can't watch live action dubs. I can watch dubbed anime very easily, but dubbed live action is really weird because the lips and the dub a lot of times don't line up. But still, if we're looking at Squid Game objectively, it was a foreign show. It was a South Korean drama that Netflix was able to bring over into the United States. It should not have taken off the way it did, but it did. And even so much so that Mr. Beast reportedly spent like $4 million on his video recreating Squid Game. Like, Squid Game was huge in the United States. So yes, it was always lightning in a bottle. But then you get to season 2, and this goes back to the long wait between seasons of like, Squid Game back when I watched it was pretty decent. But it's like a second season's coming out. I might check it out, but I think most people basically just tapped out. The exact same thing happened with the original Star Wars trilogy, right? The original Star Wars Episode 4: A New Hope. It was not originally titled Star Wars: A New Hope back when it first came out. I do want to stress that, right? Took the world by storm, but less people went to go see The Empire Strikes Back, despite Star Wars being a cultural phenomenon, and even Return of the Jedi drew in less viewers even than Empire Strikes Back. So there is such a thing as the law of diminishing. It's what am I trying to say before I brain fart? It's the law of diminishing returns, right? Season 1 got a huge spike, right? Squid Game season 1 in the United States became a cultural phenomenon in late 2021. And then what did they do with it? Absolutely nothing. They waited 3 fucking years to come out with season 2. Right? I think that that Squid Game was always going to have a drop off in between seasons 1 and 2, even the most successful TV shows, you're not going to maintain your audience forever. But I do believe that the drop off would have been less severe had season 2 of Squid Game come out by 2022, early 2023 at the extreme latest, instead of coming out at close to the end, at the end of 2024, going into 2025, because 3 years on, honestly, ask yourself the question, do you even care about Squid? If you watched the first season of Squid Game back in 2021, it's now 3+ years later. Do you honestly care about Squid Game anymore? And that's where I think I'm going to end the video. I'm going to end it on that hypothetical question. Is now that Squid Game Season 2 has come out 3 years after the first season, do you honestly care about watching the second season, or have you simply just moved on with your life?